In the quiet, unassuming town of Willowbrook, nestled deep in the heart of the countryside, there existed an ancient cemetery known as Willowbrook Rest. Its gravestones, weathered and worn with time, stood as silent sentinels over the resting places of generations past. But among the townsfolk, there lingered whispers of something more than just memories in those hallowed grounds. They spoke of eerie occurrences under the moonlit skies, of ghostly apparitions that wandered the cemetery's paths, and of voices that carried on the wind, calling out from the graves.
Please like and subscribe
Emily and
for
her
our
younger brother
channel.
Jack had recently moved to Willowbrook following the passing of their grandmother. Their new home, a sprawling Victorian house on the outskirts of town, had a backyard that stretched almost to the edge of Willowbrook Rest. From the first night they arrived, the siblings were drawn to the mystique of the cemetery. They spent their evenings gazing out at the rows of tombstones, wondering about the lives and stories buried beneath. As autumn settled in with its crisp air and rustling leaves, Emily and Jack's curiosity piqued. They often found themselves standing at the old iron gate, peering into the shadows that grew longer as the sun dipped below the horizon. Despite warnings from locals to avoid the cemetery after dark, their fascination only grew stronger. They began researching the history of Willowbrook Rest, uncovering tales of tragic deaths, unmarked graves, and a long-forgotten curse rumored to haunt the grounds. One chilly evening, their curiosity outweighed their apprehension. Armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure, Emily and Jack slipped through the gates of Willowbrook Rest. The air was thick with the scent of fallen leaves and damp earth as they wandered among the gravestones, their flashlights casting long shadows on the ground. They spoke in hushed tones, half expecting to see a spectral figure among the shadows. As they ventured deeper into the cemetery, they stumbled upon a neglected section, overgrown with tangled weeds and brambles. In the heart of this forgotten corner stood a grand mausoleum, its stone facade weathered and covered in moss. The heavy wooden door hung slightly ajar, beckoning them closer with a creak. Emily, feeling a strange mixture of fear and fascination, pushed the door open further. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the faint scent of decay. The light from their flashlights danced along the walls, illuminating names and dates etched into the stone, names that had long been forgotten by the living. Suddenly, a cold draft swept through the mausoleum, sending a chill down their spines. Emily and Jack exchanged nervous glances, their breath visible in the cold air. Before they could react, a soft whisper filled the silence, echoing off the walls of the mausoleum. It was a faint, almost melodic sound, like a distant chant carried on the wind. As they strained to listen, the whispers grew louder, forming distinct words that seemed to call out to them by name. Emily, Jack, help us. Fear gripped them as they fumbled to retrieve their flashlights, only to find them inexplicably extinguished. Darkness enveloped them like a suffocating cloak, leaving them disoriented and vulnerable. Panic surged through Emily and Jack as the whispers turned into anguished cries, pleading for release. Desperate, they groped for the door, but it slammed shut with a deafening bang, trapping them inside. In the pitch-black darkness, their hearts pounded in their chests as they searched for an escape. But as their eyes adjusted to the gloom, they noticed a faint, ethereal glow emanating from a corner of the mausoleum. Cautiously approaching, they discovered an old journal resting atop a stone pedestal. Its pages were yellowed with age, filled with frantic, scribbled entries that spoke of the suffering of the souls trapped within Willowbrook Rest. The final entry, written in a shaky hand, revealed the horrifying truth. Centuries ago, a malevolent spirit had cursed the cemetery, binding the souls of the departed to their graves. The only way to break the curse and free the spirits was to perform an ancient ritual at midnight, using specific items listed in the journal: a silver dagger, a black candle, and a vial of holy water. With trembling hands, Emily and Jack vowed to end the torment of the trapped souls. They spent the days leading up to the next full moon gathering the required items, all the while haunted by the whispers that seemed to follow them wherever they went. Their determination only grew stronger as they learned of the spirit's origins. A tale of betrayal and revenge that had left a dark stain on Willowbrook's history. On the appointed night, just before midnight, Emily and Jack returned to the mausoleum. The air was thick with anticipation as they laid out the items and began the ritual. They recited the ancient incantations with trembling voices, their hearts pounding in rhythm with the whispered cries that surrounded them. As the final words left their lips, a blinding light filled the mausoleum, and the cries of the spirits intensified before abruptly falling silent. The heavy door swung open, releasing a rush of cold air that carried the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. Emily and Jack stumbled out into the moonlit night, exhausted but triumphant. They knew that they had freed the souls from their eternal torment, breaking the curse that had plagued Willowbrook Rest for centuries. Word of their encounter spread through Willowbrook like wildfire, becoming a local legend whispered around campfires and shared over cups of hot cider. Emily and Jack became folk heroes of sorts, known for their bravery and unwavering determination to confront the unknown. They never returned to Willowbrook Rest after that night, content in the knowledge that they had brought peace to the voices from the grave. Years later, as they stood together at their grandmother's grave, Emily and Jack would often reflect on their harrowing experience. They understood that the past is never truly gone, and that sometimes it reaches out from the shadows, seeking closure and peace. Willowbrook Rest remained a place of quiet solitude, its gravestones standing as silent witnesses to the courage of two siblings who dared to defy the darkness and listen to the voices from the grave.